1, 2, 3, funk it.
Hey guys, it's Tiffany. What is freaking up, you guys? As you guys can tell by the title of this video, we are doing my bullet journal for June. I know it's 7 days into June, but I wanted to be silent on my YouTube channel for 7 days because of what's going on in our lives in this nation today. If you guys are living underneath a rock, if you guys have just finally opened up social media, you guys will already know that there is a huge Black Lives Matter movement happening right now. Matt and I actually just got home from a protest a couple hours ago, and it was so powerful, and I'm just so happy that I got to be a part of a movement that when I have my kids someday, they're gonna ask me where I was, and I'm proud to say that I didn't just sit my butt, stay silent, and do nothing. Going to this protest has just fired up a little fire in my belly, and I just want to support as much as I can, and I am going to be donating all the proceeds from this video to the Black Lives Matter movement. I know I'm gonna have more information in the description box. Let's go ahead and get started. Hey guys, if you can't tell, this month's spread is actually inspired by the Black Lives Matter movement and all of the beautiful and powerful quotes and artwork I've been seeing floating around Instagram. My June cover spread was actually inspired by the illustrator Brandy Chieko, where she had the silhouettes of men with different skin tones stacked together, and I honestly thought it was so amazing and I wanted to recreate that. So what I ended up doing was I drew out a silhouette beforehand and I actually modeled it after myself. So I pretty much just took a photo of my profile and drew it out on a separate piece of paper, and then I just used scissors and cut it out, and I just traced it on my actual bullet journal. I always get questions about what supplies I'm using, so I'm gonna link all of my bullet journal supplies that I use in the description box. I'm also currently obsessed with using alcohol markers. If you guys watched my last video, you guys know I love coloring with alcohol markers. They just blend so beautifully, they look so professional. So those are the markers I'm using in this video if you guys are curious. I bought a set of 120 colors, and there were so many different shades and skin tones to choose from, which made me so happy that I'm finally able to use some of these colors. Also, just be aware, alcohol markers do bleed, so I always use a piece of paper underneath the page I'm drawing on, and I also always skip every other page for my spread and just tape it together. Originally, I wanted a quote on my cover page. As you guys can see, I'm kind of writing out a quote and then I ended up taking it away. So what I ended up doing instead was I made a little Dutch door behind the silhouette, and I colored the entire page behind it a mustardy yellow color. I honestly love how this cover page turned out, and it's one of my favorite pages I've ever done. The next spread we're working on is my monthly calendar. I've pretty much done the same type of calendar month after month, and I keep telling myself I'm going to change it up, but I just haven't yet. So next month, I promise, things are gonna change finally. Also, just in case you're wondering, each box that I have for my calendar is 5 dots by 5 dots. The fonts I chose to use this month are fonts that you would see on posters at protests. When I was at a protest this week, it was so cool seeing all of the protest signs. Some of them were really freaking beautiful. So I just wanted to recreate that look of those signs by using the same sort of font. So I'm using a block face font, and I'm also using this groovy-ish bold type font. I wanted to put one of my favorite Martin Luther King Jr. quotes on this page, so I didn't have a ton of space to work with. So I decided for my little doodles, it would be a lot of pots and plants that you would see hanging out inside of your own home, and I'm sticking with a very muted color palette for this spread. So you'll notice that I'm using a lot of olive greens and mustards and terracotta colors. I love how my hanging plants turned out, and it was really simple to make. I just used different shades of green to create a lot of depth to the leaves, and looked up a bunch of photos on Google to reference how I should draw these out. I also wanted to fill out the dead space in this spread, so I made sure to add a lot of vines in different shades as well. You'll also notice that I used a darker pen to shade in all the vines and leaves to add more depth. It's honestly something you can't see on camera, but I swear when you see it in real life, it looks pretty freaking cool. So as you see, there's a bunch of empty space to the right, and that's where I'm putting my favorite quote, and that quote is, "In the end, we will remember not the words of our enemies, but the silence of our friends." I think this quote is so powerful and reminds all of us that we need to be allies to the Black community, and that if we are silent, we are complicit. I'm also writing this quote out in my normal handwriting as if I handed it to a teacher to grade it, and she added little edits and ticks and scribbles to my essay. I've been seeing a lot of quotes and sayings written out like this during the movement, and I just love how it looks. I really love how this page turned out and the detail that went into this. I wish you guys could see it the way I see it because it looks so cool. The next spread we're working on is my habit and mood trackers. This month I finally changed up my habits layout and I love how it turned out. I definitely want to keep trying out this layout. I think I want to play with it a little bit more, but it honestly turned out really cool. For the font I'm using the same groovy poster font as before, and I'm just drawing out 6 little rectangles to represent my calendar to track my habits. My habits I want to focus on this month is opening my journal every single day and writing in it, waking up before 9:30 a.m., eating vegetarian, which is something I do 99% of the time, but I wanted to have a little tracker that I would actually do every day so I can physically put a little dot in my bullet journal because it's so satisfying. And then my other habits I want to track is doing my skincare routine every single night, working out every day, and not playing games on my phone. Underneath my habits, I'm starting a little mood protest. I'm not gonna lie, this did not turn out the way I envisioned it. It kind of looks a little childish / elementary. So if I had to do it again, I think I would make everything a little bit larger with less spacing in between and kind of add a little bit more detail. So to track my habits this month, I decided to draw out little people attending a Black Lives Matter protest from all different races. And as the days go by, I'll be filling out each shirt a different color based on what my mood is for the day. I also included a bunch of protest signs that I've seen floating around. I'm also coloring the background a muted grayish blue. I wish I stuck with the same warm tones I've been doing previously. I literally have no idea why I decided to change it up last minute. Alright, so the next spread we're working on is my content calendar. I started this last month and I was a huge fan of how it turned out. This little content calendar has definitely been keeping me accountable on how much work I'm actually doing or not. Honestly, it was so sad seeing that I only did 1 TikTok last month. So this month I have a bunch of TikToks planned out that I can't wait to upload, so go follow me if you guys haven't already. I also wish I added a Patreon content calendar because I'm actually starting a Patreon finally. Some of you guys that I've actually been texting told me that I should start one so that I have a safe place to share my embarrassing photos and vlogs that never made it on YouTube because they're way too short or I just felt like they didn't belong on my main channel. Also, I don't think you guys realize that these bullet journal videos take so much time and effort for me to plan out. I always get questions and DMs asking me how long these videos take to make, and you guys have no freaking clue. I'd say roughly it takes me probably 7 days for me to film, edit, produce these videos, and that's if I'm being really quick and fast. Planning my theme alone is 3 to 4 hours, and that's where I figure out my color scheme, which fonts to use, and drawings / doodles I want to recreate. And the actual creating of my bullet journal where I sit and film it is probably about 10 hours, but I do that over the course of a few days because I constantly have to check the lighting. I also have to check if everything is in focus. I also have to create my journal over the course of a few days so that I'm using prime sunlight time. I had 10 hours of footage just for my June bullet journal, so that was actually insane to go through, and I have to break it down into a 12-minute video. I've literally been working on this video since June 1st, and right now it's June 10th. So yeah, if you guys want to see a sneak peek of my next bullet journal theme / if you guys want to help me decide what I should put in it, go find me at Patreon. Also, because I didn't have a lot of empty space for this spread, I just colored a little beach scene with the same colors I've been using throughout. It's just a little peaceful paradise that I wish we could go back to, even though things will never ever be the same after 2020. The next spread we're working on is probably one of my favorite spreads from this entire month, and that is my weekly spreads. I'm honestly so happy with how these turned out, and I love the message behind it. A lot of this spread was actually inspired by Keely Shawwart on Instagram, so shout out to Homegirl. She had this amazing drawing of a girl with text bubbles surrounding her, and I thought that would perfectly fit into this month's theme. I'm honestly shook at how good I got drawing these silhouettes, and I just used my alcohol markers to trace the outlines and fill it in. I wanted my weekly spreads to look like 2 girls from 2 different backgrounds were supporting and encouraging each other, so I'm drawing a silhouette on both sides of my spread. Because alcohol markers bleed through, I knew if I just drew a silhouette on one half, it would also show up on the other half of the page, which made my life so much easier. So I drew about 4 of these girls with all varying skin tones, and for my daily boxes, I'm adding speech bubbles and coloring them all in with different muted warm tones. Also, I'm drawing 10 bubbles for each spread, and I have a total of 3 spreads for the 30 days in June. I really can't get over how amazing this weekly spread turned out. I think it represents the conversations we're all having right now, which has been so important in educating a lot of us, including myself, to the privilege we all have even if we're not white. So yeah, here's a little overview of my entire spread for June. Hopefully this spread inspires you guys to recreate this for July, and if you do, please tag me. I love seeing your guys' recreations. Also, I know a lot of you guys have opinions and feelings on what is happening in the world today, so please leave a comment on how you guys are doing. I just want to know where you guys are at, how you guys are feeling. Also, if you guys have more information on nonprofit organizations and petitions, please comment them down below. I just want our comment section to be a safe place for everybody who wants to educate themselves on the movement. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So yeah, that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed June's bullet journal. I hope everyone is proud of it. I am really proud of it. I did struggle with a few pages on finding a theme for those pages because I didn't have a lot of space. But either way, I honestly made this video for all the Black Americans who are affected by police brutality. Please, please be educated. All lives do matter, but Black lives matter right now because they're the ones being heavily affected with everything that is going on because of systemic racism. So if you guys don't know about the movement, please stay educated. Do not be ignorant. Ignorance is not an excuse any longer. In the words of Martin Luther King Jr., in the end, we will remember not the words of our enemies, but the silence of our friends. So, do not be silent. Do not be ignorant. Form your own opinions. Stay educated. Also, I do have a bigger announcement. I am starting a Patreon, and if you guys want to know more information about that, I'll have it down below. I'm just not going to go too into it in this video because I just feel like this is not the time and place to do it, but I really do want to launch this Patreon, and I'm super excited for you guys to be a part of a smaller community where I can literally get to know you guys better as my sisters. I do feel like I'm your guys' older / younger sister sometimes. A lot of the times I teach you guys things, and so many more times you guys also teach me a bunch of things. So I just want a safe space for me to get to know you guys better without the hate. So if you guys want to join me on Patreon, then I'm gonna have a link down below, but don't worry if you guys can't. But yeah, I love you guys so much. I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.
Hey, you the best part of every single day. Ooh, no matter what I do, I've been lost in you.